right now. We're about to do a show within a show. Okay, that's pretty complex if you ask me. We're about to kick off the second half of the show, which is no longer Howdy Partner. We're about to be taken over. So let me just go ahead and put up our banner here to let everyone know. There we go. So we've got the banner, and now our special guest, MJ Bailey. Introduce yourself, MJ. Everybody already knows you.
Hello.
Sure.
Wow, I can't believe I'm here on Howdy Partner. Thank you so much for having me, AM. Nikki, I just heard your last couple of questions there, and I certainly wish I could have heard the whole thing. So I might go back and rewatch that, actually. It's such a pleasure to be on here with you. Hi, Taz. How are you?
Great. Good to see you again.
Ready for, as AM just said, for me to kind of take over a bit. I don't know if I can fill these big boots. And would you like to take part in a collaborative episode of CQ with me?
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I've been looking forward to all day.
Well, seeing as it's only 8 a.m. on my side of the world, I can't say I've been looking forward to it all day, but I have been looking forward to the hour or so that I've been up already. So let me share my questions with you all.
Okay.
That'd be a good start.
We're going to go through a certification that I don't think any of us have. I don't know. Do you have this one, Taz?
I don't have this one.
And I don't think you do either, Nikki.
No. Yeah, okay, well, I do. So I've got us covered. Okay.
There you go. I'm so excited to make Nikki answer these questions live on air.
I'm excited to do it with you all. So we are going to do CQ on Howdy Partner today. So welcome everyone to CQ, the AWS Certification Quiz Show, where we're here having a bit of a look at the Cloud Practitioner exam today. So I thought I would start us off nice and easy, just in case we have collabs in the future, and we can build it up from there. So as a reminder for all of my viewers and some extra information for the Howdy Partner viewers, the Cloud Practitioner exam covers 4 main topics, okay? And we do go over a bit of each of these in today's episode. So we're going to be looking at some cloud concepts, some fundamental knowledge that you will need to know for the exam. We'll touch on security and compliance, technology as a whole, and billing and pricing, which definitely comes up from this particular exam. So with that in mind, I thought we could start with AM asking me a question, if that sounds all right. But my screen won't actually change. So
I think AM's been vying for this job for a long time. He's been wanting to be a CQ host.
I did hear it on the grapevine, actually. So then it might, introduce Nikki and Taz to how we're going to play the rest of the game, if I can do the opener for you. So I'm going to throw back to you, AM, for the first question number 1.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to kick it up to the screen share only so that people can see the full question here.
Awesome.
All right. So, MJ, this is very serious. Okay, I'm getting my serious voice on now. Question 1 is regarding design principles. I'm auditioning right now too, by the way. Which cloud architecture design principle is enabled by availability zones? Is it number 1, disposable resources instead of fixed servers? 2, removing single points of failure? 3, Amazon EC2? Or 4, loose coupling?
Wow, well, you already totally changed the premise of CQ, because as the host, I've never read out the questions before. So thanks, AM, giving me a bit of a different style already. I love this. So let me jump into this for you. Definitely points for changing up the host already on question number 1. So I think we can all jump on this in particular. We are looking for a particular cloud architecture design principle. So immediately that helps us rule out one of the answers from what I can see, because EC2 is not a cloud design principle. It is one of our products, our Elastic Compute Cloud product. So I'm going to get rid of number 3 straight away. So just a bit of a tip there for everyone watching. If there is something that stands out that obviously doesn't belong there, just get rid of it straight away and start delving into some of the other answers. Now, the other three are design principles, okay? So let's have a look at what the question is really asking. It's asking us about availability zones in particular. So we need an answer that links us back to our AZs, of which I'm pretty sure there's 76 globally now, off the top of my head, probably way behind, and another one has come up, but 76, I'm pretty sure, AM. So let's have a bit of a look at our answers that AM has already kindly read out for us and see if we can find something that matches with availability zones. All right, so number one, disposable resources instead of fixed services. Okay, so I don't think it's going to be this one, although it is an absolute design principle we would want to see in our cloud architecture. This is more referring to something that you can turn off when you don't need. Okay, so not necessarily linking us directly back to availability zones. So for now, I'm definitely going to get rid of number one. Looking through the answers, jump into number four, loose coupling, absolutely something, again, we would look to have in our architecture. However, this is the idea of if something is going to fail in one system, it doesn't break everything. Okay, so breaking it down into different components. So again, something we would definitely look for, but not necessarily, I'm thinking, to do with our availability zones. What are availability zones? Let's look at it from that way. I mean, I'm probably already giving away the answer here, seeing as I've got rid of three. But let's just give our viewers a little bit more information. So we have our AWS regions, right? So specific, separate geographic areas and within those areas, the regions have multiple isolated locations, okay? And that's what our availability zones are. So each AZ has its own independent and interconnected infrastructure that allow our customers to build a fault-tolerant, highly secure, low latent network, all of these great design principles. And that's what we need to look for within our answer that we're going to give today, okay? So with that in mind, what all of those things do is basically remove a single point of failure in our architecture, okay? So I'm loving the look of number 2, AM. Quick reread, I think we've hit the nail on the head. I'm definitely going to go with number 2.
And you're correct.
I just realized you don't have the controls of the deck, so you can't actually reveal the answer. So I will do that bit for you. Yay!
It's so thrilling to be the host of CQ for like 2 minutes.
We'll have to get you the controls next time if we do another collab. So, Taz, Nikki, are you ready to get involved?
Ooh, I'm a little nervous, but I think we can do it.
I think you can do it. I think you've got this. And with that in mind, seeing as you spoke up first, Taz, I'm going to ask you question number 2.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
Oh, hopefully you didn't see that quick reveal of the answer. Number 2, we have a storage question just for Taz. Taz, which AWS storage service allows content to be accessed via a browser without using a compute service?
Sure. So, when we have storage, we have, basically a couple of options. One is block storage, and the other would be like an object storage. Knowing what I know about that, like block storage, I know you have to have some kind of a compute resource attached to it to be able to run it. And so, a lot of what the block storage looks like, it's kind of like a hard drive that you need to plug that into something to be able to do it. And so in this case, number 2, Elastic Block Store or EBS, I don't think that would be it. So we're going to knock that one out, which leaves us with 1, 3, and 4. Elastic File System is also similar to that in that, like, I'm not sure of a way to just access that without linking it up to some other AWS service. Like, you could do that through EC2, or now you can even do that with like serverless. You can go Lambda and be able to read some EFS stuff. And so because of each of those, I have a feeling it's not that. which leaves us with numbers 3 and 4. Number 4, let's talk about that one. This is fun. This is new. Like, this is less than, I don't know how long it's been, but maybe like within the past month or so that this was.
Yeah, one of our most
announced.
Recent, right?
Right,
AM, do
yeah.
you have a link you can put in our window for everyone?
For Snowcone?
Linking them to Snowcone? Yeah, because it's actually really cool for them to see. I think Taz is about to give us a bit of a description on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all those who are not familiar, we have several snow-related storage devices that users can use. So the use case for this is maybe you need to transfer large amounts of data, but your network connection is not great, and so it may be easier to just load it on to a physical container and ship that to an AWS data center. They also, in some cases, you can use it to do some computation there on the device itself. And so we started off with AWS Snowball, and it was about a suitcase-sized thing. And then a few years ago, we wheeled out a giant truck that was basically just a giant hard drive truck called Snowmobile. And now we've taken it the other direction, and now we just have Snowcone. And it's a little box about that big. And so, again, going back to the original question, could I access Snowcone from a web browser? No, probably not. Like, that's not going to be the way you do that. And so that leaves us with Amazon Simple Storage Service. And that is absolutely correct. We can go in there, we can access it via the browser, and you can even host your own websites in S3. So you can put those static files up there and be able to use those and access them via the browser. So I'm going to go with answer number 3.
Awesome. And I love what you did there for all the viewers watching us. This is one of the key tips that we can give you when answering any of our certification questions. Process of elimination is the easiest way to get to the answer. So I love what you did there, Taz. Let's make sure you are indeed correct.
Fingers crossed.
Yet again, there we go. I'm looking over here at this screen trying to watch the chat. I'm trying to control it up here, and it's really hard being on Howdy Partner today, but we'll get there. Let's give it a go with question number 3. Taz, how about you flick this question over to Nikki?
Okay, Nikki, are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Okay, so we're going to go into the world of billing. Your organization has multiple applications running in one AWS account. You have been asked to apportion AWS costs by application. What could you use to identify costs related to each application?
What a wonderful question, and definitely
Nikki,
something...
I'm so sorry you got the billing question.
No, it's okay. I'm good.
She could have spoken up sooner.
Love all the money. And this is definitely a very common use case as well. So looking at the answers, use multiple Amazon VPCs, tag all resources, assign a different IAM role to each application, purchase reserved instances. So looking at number 3, assign a different IAM role to each application. So knowing IAM, I know that is dealing with permissions. So having, let's say, an EC2 be able to communicate to a database or to SQS or any other AWS resource. So dealing with permissions, that doesn't really have anything to do with billing. So gonna X that one out. Looking at number 4, purchase reserved instances. So this is in the realm of cost. So this allows EC2 instances, you can save money if you effectively pay for them up front instead of running on demand. And you can even share reserved instances if you have multiple kind of linked accounts within an AWS organization, which is a really great tool of AWS orgs. So this will save you money. However, this won't really help me know which application is running whatever amount of money. So it really doesn't differentiate. So I'm going to cross that out. And then looking at number 1, use multiple Amazon VPCs. Well, this is more just a way to split up your networking. Like you could use this potentially as an option, but you would have to do something more to be able to identify what application is using what resources. So in and of itself of just using two separate VPCs, that doesn't tell me anything about cost. So
and technically, all the VPCs would go to the same bill. So
yes, exactly right. So then that leaves me with number 2, tag all resources. So tagging may seem like a concept that's on everything these days, you know, key value pair, let me put a name on it, maybe an app name, a business unit, but these are leveraged very highly in billing mechanisms. And there's a lot of finer grain kind of one-off that I won't get it too much, but effectively, if you tag your resources appropriately, you can put application 1 on all the applications that are, or on all the AWS resources used for that, and application 2, whatever it's called, on all the resources consumed by that. And then within the billing, you can easily segment out by tag to be able to identify what goes to what and be able to bill the right department for that. So I'm going to go with number 2, tag all resources.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the explanation there. That was great. We absolutely want to bill by department. So let's reveal the answer. And Nikki absolutely nailed it. Yay. Now, I think it's only fair we bring our host. I guess I'm the guest host of the Howdy Partner host show. So Nikki, do you want to throw the next question to AM?
Of course.
Oh, wait. I never agreed that I would answer questions. I mean,
No.
This is how I lose my job, isn't it? Oh, okay. All right.
Okay, AM, you ready? Okay, question 4, we're going to be talking about databases. What type of database capability is provided by Amazon Aurora? Is it time series database, NoSQL database, relational database, or a graph database?
Okay. Whew. All right. First off, I have to say I really appreciate you using the AM approved method of asking the question.
Watched a lot of game shows in my day.
I think that's really, indicative that I got it right. I just had that instinct, Anyways, not to pat myself on the back too hard. So this one's kind of tough, right? Because it's just a service name in the question. There's not a whole lot of other things here to help you eliminate some of these, unless you've heard of this service. Never heard of this service, you might find this question pretty challenging. Now, you may have associated, this could give you a heads up or a leg up. If you've heard of Aurora before, you might know that it's related to the RDS side of services as well. So that might help you start to eliminate some things. I think let's say we know a little bit about some NoSQL database offerings in AWS, right? I'd say the first and foremost one that comes to my mind is Dynamo, right? DynamoDB, a specific AWS database. So I probably know that Aurora is not in that realm, right? Since there's already a prominent kind of NoSQL database that AWS has, if I were to know about that NoSQL database. So let's get rid of number 2, right? NoSQL doesn't sound right to me. Let's see. With time series, if you've been paying attention to some reInvent announcements from a few years back, maybe 1 or 2, I'm not even sure actually on the GA-ness or availability of our time series database at this point. So that might give me, that seems a little too new, and Aurora, maybe I know that it's existed for a while.
So AM, you bring up a great point there that leads me to give a quick tip to our viewers as well on our exams. You're absolutely right. So when something is released, it will not be put on our exams until it's been out for 6 months or more. So you actually bring up a great point without potentially even knowing that.
These things just come to me. I don't know how it happens. But yeah, Amazon TimeStream is our time series database. Yeah, I would have to check. I'd have to look. I haven't paid close attention to it, so I don't even know what the update is on that. So I already know the answer. I don't want to give you the answer because we still have to eliminate. We have 3 and 4 left. Again, with graph database, it's a newish thing. It's not as new as time series, but I know that Neptune is our graph database engine that lets us utilize graph databases with. So let's say I never heard of Aurora, but I knew all these other things. That would give me a way to eliminate these answers, right? It's got to be number 3, relational databases. And I know this because of the marketing that is surrounding Aurora. It's one of these really great ways to adopt when you are running a SQL database engine that you want to kind of get more enterprise grade with some of these open source versions like Postgres or MySQL. I also know it because my friend Gabe Hollenby, who is a developer advocate out in
out of my side of the world.
Yeah, his daughter is named Aurora, so I definitely know Aurora is the relational database.
Awesome. Let's reveal the answer. Absolutely correct. We are 4 for 4 so far, team. So in that vein, let me take this back. I reckon you've all got it. I'm going to take the reins. And now, my pleasure to play the show properly with 3 guests. I'm super excited. So let's do open floor. Whoever's got something to say, let's go for it. Everyone happy?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, another pricing question, which is very telling of this CP exam, if anyone wants to make note of that. So here we go. Question number 5. Which of the following pricing models provides the lowest cost for storage in Amazon S3?
Ooh, this is a tricky one. They try to trick you in a couple of places because I'm seeing some areas like if I just read lowest cost, like my mind goes down to spot instances there. Where
that's exactly what producer John was trying to do. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's where my mind went immediately, and I was like, oh, spot instances. That's going to give you the lowest cost because it's based off of, well, basically you basically bid for a certain amount of cost, and as it goes above, you may lose access to that. But then when it drops below your set price, then you get access to it again. So it's a great way to do compute cheaply, but you got to read the whole question.
That's exactly right. Compute cheaply.
That's compute cheaply, and this is asking for S3, which is not compute. So I would have got that one wrong.
Keep going, Taz. What else?
Oh,
what
am
else?
I doing the whole thing?
Yeah,
I thought, okay, I'll keep going.
Smoke. It's you now. This is all you.
So then that leaves us with like 3 other options. So we've got instant store, which again, like if we've really identified that we're doing S3, instant store is not going to, that's not what we're talking about there. And the same thing with savings plans. Like that's not something that you really talk about in relationship to S3. And so that really leaves only that one option, which is standard storage. And another thing to keep in mind too on this one that makes it a little bit tricky is it says which of the following pricing models. So is standard storage the cheapest S3 pricing model? No, it's not. Like we can take that down to Glacier, which will actually be a lot cheaper for you to store long term. And so this is a multi-layered question here. So you really have to read the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
you hit the nail on the head, Taz.
Yep.
That's exactly what we were being a bit cheeky with this question. And the reason for that, it's you've kind of said it in so many words, Taz, that the answer is often in the question. And it can literally be one single word in this one being S3 being the key to the answer. So you delivered that perfectly. Our answer is absolutely standard storage. I think you can sit back and relax. Next one, AM or Nikki? Let's do it.
Ooh.
Oh, a bit of security. Here we go. Good. I'm glad we've got this one. Here we go. An application running on an Amazon EC2 instance needs to access resources in Amazon S3. How can you assign permissions to the instance so that the application can access S3? Who's going to take this one?
I can take this one. We'll have a good security as well. So yeah, I think the key here too is with any of these AWS questions, I feel like you can take it a lot of different ways. So you really have to pay attention to what the question is asking. So the key here is the application needs to access resources in Amazon S3. So I have an EC2 instance and it needs to talk to S3. So we're talking about between service communication. So looking through the options, use identity federation to log into the instance. Well, logging into the instance has nothing to do with me talking to S3. So I know that's not the right answer. Similarly, provide an MFA token to the application. Again, I'm not sure how multi-factor authentication has anything to do with S3. Seems like a very application-specific thing. Generate a key pair for the instance. Well, this is a good security thing. I can use the key pair to, again, log into the instance. But again, that has nothing to do with communicating with S3 or any other resource. So number 4, assign an IAM role to the instance. So this is the only one that actually talks about something outside of the scope of just the application running on EC2 instance. So an IAM role will be able to allow the EC2 instance to communicate and have the permissions, the correct permissions to be able to communicate with any AWS service. So I'm going to go with 4. Assign an IAM role.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Why can't I just put my access key and secret access key into the EC2 instance and give it permission to access it that way?
Well, technically, you could do that. However, that's not best practices because now your credentials are on the box. So now you don't have rotation of keys. If whoever has access to log into the box, and depending on how you set up your architecture, that could be a whole lot of people, they now have access to using those keys however they want. So they can nefariously use them to do other things as well. So IAM role is AWS's recommended best practice of any instance where you need to communicate with AWS resources.
Happy with that, Kaz?
You make me cry.
That makes sense to me. Sorry.
No, I love it. That's awesome. Go for it. So Nikki is locking in number 4, correct? Let's reveal the answer. Of course, it's number 4, and I would suggest you do a bit of white paper searching on each of the answers to this question if you are going to set your CPE anytime soon. So thanks for that extra information, Nikki. You probably hit the nail on the head for exactly the level of detail that you would need to go into for what you need to know about each of these. So thank you very much. All right, I think AM is definitely up. He keeps trying to get out of this, I feel. So let's jump to a bit of compute. And we don't have many questions left, AM, so you know, you got to shine. Which of the following...
All right.
Which of the following AWS compute services is good for workloads that only run for brief periods in response to infrequent events?
Did we have to give AM this question?
This is why he didn't take the last one. I got it. It worked out perfectly for him.
That would assume that I knew what questions were coming, like I was some sort of sage, or I could predict the future. I had no clue. I had no idea. I have no idea. Any of these could be.
I feel like this one is made for you.
I get paid every time I say this. Chris Munn sends a direct Venmo payment to me every time I say this service on Twitch. It's for you, Chris. Okay, so we're going to have to take a look at these real quick. There's one that I can immediately get rid of, and that's Amazon CloudWatch. So CloudWatch is number 4. And I get rid of that because it's not a compute service. I know that it's not a compute service. It's a logging and monitoring service, and metric collection, things like that. You can get insights from it. There's all CloudWatch is foundational. If you don't know much about CloudWatch, it's a great area to really go and pull up those white papers, pull up those docs, and just read through, because it can do a ton of stuff, but not what this question's asking. It can't do any of that. Now the remaining three, these are all compute platforms. We've got ECS, or Elastic Container Service, Lambda, and Elastic Compute Cloud, which I always forget is actually what EC2 stands for, right? Isn't that wild? I had to look at that for a minute and be like, what service is that? Oh, it's EC2. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of EC2, because those are servers. They just sit on all the time. I have to go spin them down, which you can. There are things like auto-scaling groups that can actually do it, for you based off of metrics. But it's probably not the easiest or best thing for a brief period in time. You're still going to have the overhead of spinning up VM and all of these things. So we're left with the two services that, I'll say they fight over my heart, actually. These two things, ECS and Lambda, are I feel like constantly drawn between the two of them. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of ECS. Although, if I was being really tricky here, I could argue that Fargate on ECS actually could, potentially answer this question, because.
But that's not an option, AM. So technically, you can't argue it.
That's right. That's right. So, this is an AM tip. Don't be too clever for yourself, okay?
Yes.
Don't extend out.
Tip of the week. I love that one.
Don't extend out it says clearly ECS. It doesn't say Fargate, right? But don't try and be tricky yourself and be like, oh, well, maybe they mean Fargate here. I don't know. So the answer here is very clearly AWS Lambda. You're welcome, Chris Munns. You can send the check in the mail if you'd like to.
I love that. And that's definitely my favorite tip of the week as well for this one. Don't be too tricky. I'll have to remember that for future guests on the show. Of course, it's Lambda. We couldn't be on a show with AM without giving him a Lambda answer. So very lucky that you ended up with that one, because it wasn't the order I was going with. Trips to AM. Do we have time to go on, AM? How's our time going?
I think
I can't see it with my millions of controls that I'm trying to look at here. We're good? All right.
We're good.
Let's bring Taz back in for security. Oh, actually, let's do a bit of all three of you on this one, because I've got a nice image to go with it. So this is a great one for everyone to talk to. So maybe you can all get rid of an answer, and then we'll reveal the one. So here we go. In the AWS shared responsibility security model, what is the responsibility of AWS? So what I'll do real quickly is I'll bring up our image. So maybe Taz can talk us through exactly what AWS looks after as opposed to what customer looks after.
Yeah, sure. So I think the best way to summarize that is either security of the cloud, which is what AWS will cover, versus security of the things that you put in the cloud. And so what I mean by that is AWS is going to secure things like the physical locations of our data centers, will secure our networks, and will secure the software that we provide to you all. Beyond that, it's up to you to decide what you actually want to put into the cloud and how you want to configure it. So if you're importing customer data, you need to decide how to store that, whether or how you want to encrypt it. You need to control your own IAM, decide who can have access to your account, and things like that. I won't go into all the examples because I don't want to go and cross out every question, but basically it's in the cloud versus of the cloud.
I love it. Let's bring up the answers and see if we can get rid of some as a result. AM, what do you want to get rid of?
Ooh, what do I want to get rid of? I would get rid of, well, I'll go with operating system patch management. because if you are running an operating system on something, typically you're the one responsible for that. But it's not always true, actually, in some of the things. So this is the one that this is the AM tip again. Don't be too clever for your own good, because like when you run a Lambda function, actually, you're not necessarily updating system patch management for the operating system. That's one of the actual reasons why you would use Lambda. But in general, for all the things that you're running on EC2, for example, you have to go and manage this yourself. So I'll get rid of number 2.
Yeah, definitely a customer one. Number 2, Nikki, you want to get rid of one for us?
Yeah, so thinking about Taz's explanation of the cloud versus in the cloud, I'm thinking through when I stand up new infrastructure in AWS, like what are the things I have control over? So looking at number 3, security group configurations. Well, I know every time I stand up an EC2 instance, I have to put a security group on there, and I need to configure what IPs are allowed, what ports, what type of traffic, all of that. So because I know I configure that, I'm going to cross that out, because AWS doesn't really care if I open it up to the public internet or I open it up just to my IP. So.
Awesome. Thanks, Nikki. Taz, you want to get rid of our last one before revealing the answer?
Yeah, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Nikki said. I've spent way more time than I would like to trying to do CIDR range math in my head, trying to figure out how to divide things up. And so I know that is something that I have to do myself. So assigning IP address ranges to VPC subnets, that's going to be something that the user has full control over. So
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Obviously, 1, 2, and 3 are all customer. That leaves us with our edge location. So this is where our CloudFront sits. 216 locations around the world, I think. Hopefully got that one right for everyone. And obviously, this means this is our AWS physical infrastructure. Okay, so this is data closer to our customers, providing a faster service. So I would definitely say that's AWS. Let's reveal our answer, make sure all of us are correct. And of course, it is number 4. Yay! Team effort. I love the team effort. So I've got one more question, AM. I think it's only fair we give it to Nikki, our fabulous guest for today, your guest, piggybacked on the back of me. So Nikki, if it's all right with you, I'd love you to round us out with our final question of the day.
Of course.
Yay, automation. What a way to end. So question number 9, which AWS service enables infrastructure to be automatically deployed in a repeatable manner?
Repeatable manner. Classic phrase of AWS certification questions.
Absolutely.
So going through these, I'm going to be very honest. I've never heard of AWS Artifact. So I'm going to skip that one for a second. Amazon EC2 image builder. So being able to build AMIs, Amazon machine images. AWS code deploy and AWS CloudFormation. Well, this is a tricky one because I think, I don't know much about Artifact, but for image builder and code deploy, these are all dealing with deployments. So it's not like we can really rule out one from that perspective. I think the question here is infrastructure and repeatable. So knowing about CloudFormation and using that a lot, I know CloudFormation is a tool to essentially write infrastructure as code so that you can check it into source control, you can have a Reddit audit trail and a record of changes, and you can automatically deploy it in a repeatable manner. So right now that's looking good for me. So realistically, I'm okay not knowing much about AWS Artifact because I feel confident that I know what CloudFormation is and this applies. I think for the other two, like, yeah, you can leverage image builders to be able to do automated deployments, but image builders are for images, not for infrastructure. So that doesn't really make sense in this context. And then code deploy, you could use CloudFormation with code deploy, but code deploy is more your pipelines to be able to orchestrate the deployments. Whereas CloudFormation is actually dealing with what infrastructure do I want to stamp out. So even though code deploy, you know, kind of related to what the question was asking, at the heart of it, the key here is infrastructure. So I'm going to go with AWS CloudFormation.
Yeah, awesome. I love that, you know, you showing everyone that you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know exactly what every answer is or means or how it does or doesn't relate. You can really still jump in and derive our answer. Taz, I am in agreement with the last question.
I'm in full agreement. CloudFormation all the way.
I trust Nikki implicitly for anything at this point, actually.
Me too. I'm dying to go back and actually watch this episode from the start when I was sleeping, just to hear more from Nikki. Of course, our last answer is CloudFormation, and another great tip, definitely look up what you can on CloudFormation. And actually, maybe we can pop a little article about AWS Artifact in the chat as well to round us out, AM.
Absolutely.
Team, thank you so much for having me on Howdy Partner today. This has been an absolute blast to get CQ out there in a different way. Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. You're welcome to come back at any point.